Yeah. Yeah.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah.
It's all about the Benjamins,
Ooh,
baby.
Hi, welcome to JD Sports. I'm Jared. That's the way you can follow our personal stories at the show's page at _JD Sports. You can listen to us on SoundCloud by just going to SoundCloud, clicking the search, and searching under people JD Sports. YouTube, do the same thing.
Let's make sure it's underscore, not understored. There's
Before-
no stores around here.
My bad. I'm a little sick. Happy New Year to everybody. We'll talk to. Well, I'm not as sick anymore. I've been taking medicine. We're covered. I'm not breathing on you. We're fine.
Alright, I'm just making sure.
I got you. I'm feeling a little better. Before I get into the New Year's and asking you how your New Year's was, which, first off, Happy New Year's to the watchers, to the listeners, to the devoted fans, and to the people maybe first time watching and listening.
Yeah, definitely.
I need to shout out to my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. In a game that I can't stand bowl games, and if we would have had a show last week, which we did not get through a show last week, but if we would have had a show last week, I would have explained how I do not like meaningless bowl games like the Citrus Bowl that Notre Dame played in. I do think that
y'all playing every year.
yeah, right. If you're not playing for the national championship or in the national championship, then because you know me, if it's not Super Bowl or bust, or if it's not championship or bust, you know. And so these games that mean absolutely nothing but just making money for these universities and the NCAA usually don't really get into it. I don't like, and I didn't really get into it or like this game for Notre Dame, but I have to shout it out because at the end they made a really remarkable play to win the game. They played horribly. Both teams played horribly. It was sloppy. It was rainy. It looked pretty cold for a Florida game. But they made a really remarkable play to win the game. We will get into all of that. But I just had to shout them out right off the bat because I love my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And for something that I don't care about in any way, shape, or form.
But you do.
I know, and they didn't. They showed they didn't care in any way, shape, or form either. But
you do.
right, I got excited to watch them do what they did there at the end. Anytime I get to watch those gold helmets, it's going to be 200 plus days till I get to watch those gold helmets do anything important again. So anytime I get to see it, no matter what,
He knows the exact date, time, location. That's gross.
I should
Get a life.
I got to get pretty excited
Need you to
even
go
when they do
outside.
things like
Can you
that.
go outside for 5 minutes?
And when I say that, I don't want to take anything away from teams like Penn State or Ohio State who won pretty big bowl games. Even though they weren't for championships, like they played pretty hard teams and they did what they needed to. We'll get into the college football in a little bit. Dwight,
What up?
before we get into any more football, sports in general,
Yep.
how was your New Year's Eve and New Year's Day?
Good, pretty mellow. I actually just kicked at a house. Didn't go out and get in any type of trouble. Just kicked at the house, but had a good time.
A lot of football on New Year's Eve. You watch a lot?
New Year's Eve, negative. Well, yes, I'm thinking college. Jesus, I'm thinking New Year's Day. Yeah, New Year's Eve. Yeah, definitely. It was the last day of the year. Had to. That was the only thing to do.
Did you sit through the really hard game to sit through as an Eagles Cowboys? Because that was,
Hell no.
as an Eagles fan,
No, well, no. Of course not.
that was really difficult to watch.
What for? No, I had the red zone
I
on
was gonna
because
ask you to watch
it was
the
the
red zone.
it's the last week
Okay.
of the season. We have nothing to
I had
play
the-
for. It meant nothing whether we won or lost.
I had
which
the red zone up.
I need you to understand because you, of course you tweeted out. Well, who says it doesn't mean anything? Okay. Does it mean anything? Oh, didn't think so. Exactly. It didn't mean nothing before. It didn't mean nothing during. It don't mean nothing after.
To the overall
it was
record
just like
against the
it was just
Cowboys,
like
it would have been
last
nice
year.
to get another win against them. But I'm with you. We got
It
the
was
win
just like
against you
last
guys
year.
last year, and you guys got the win against us this year. We call that a draw now.
And it was just like the year before that, where it was like, okay, we were great, and y'all were so it was like,
Yes.
and it's the end of the year. It doesn't matter.
No, you're right. I
Like, yeah, of course we want to get a W. Of course you want to get a W.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't, like, whatever.
Congratulations,
Congratulations, we won 6-0. I don't care.
This is the way I
it
put
shut
this.
y'all up for a day.
I got
Great.
really angry about somebody doing something at the top of a company once because they didn't like the people under them, and I explained it to their boss as, you understand that this person hates X person. I was like, look, man, I don't hate things. I mean, I don't hate people, but I hate things. I was like, I hate the Dallas Cowboys. So even, this is what I said to him, listen, I said, even in a video game, I don't want to see them win. Like, I'm that petty. I was like, so this person's being that petty, that human. I couldn't imagine that. Like, even in a video game, I want the Cowboys to lose. This person's like really messing with this other person. That's how I explained it to that boss, and I like that actually clicked with him. So yes, of course, even in a real life game, that actually probably felt more like a video game to watch because it meant, like you said, about as much as a video game would even. nothing.
I don't know the video game I take very seriously over that. So,
But do you understand what I'm saying? I still obviously even want to see the Cowboys lose in that situation. But with Nate
I obviously
Sudfeld,
want to see y'all lose, but I was like, even if you do,
with Nate Sudfeld on the football field, I wasn't expecting a whole lot. So you said you watched the red zone. Now I had the red zone up, but I told you I wasn't feeling the best, so I was laying on the couch and I had the Eagles on the TV and the red zone up on a laptop.
Shout to the average person that got you sick.
Yeah, really average person.
That's so average.
You watched the red zone the whole time. How much of that Eagles game was on the red zone? Eagles-Cowboys game?
Oh my gosh.
No. They didn't move outside of the third.
They did show it.
They kept checking in on
showed it here and there when it was like a commercial break everywhere.
Yeah.
It was here and there.
So
here and there.
Yes, obviously the exciting part for the Eagles to take away is a lot of their second string played most of the second quarter and beyond, and they held Zeke Elliott to 10 rushes and 28 yards in the first half, but then he exploded on their third string in the second half. Also, the Cowboys were already in the Bahamas or Jamaica or wherever the heck they all already planned their vacations to, because I'm also thinking that's part of the reason that their offensive line didn't just throw people around and Zeke didn't just blast off for 1,000,000 yards and, Dak didn't hit everything. It was cold as well. That has a factor in these games, especially a game that doesn't count. It's going to be a lot harder to want to go put your hat on a hat somewhere in a game that felt like, I think they said 12 or 13 degrees outside during it. So
Miserable. It was absolutely miserable.
Also, the talent level was clearly different when the Eagles' offense came out because the Cowboys, and for no reason they should have, they left their first string in the entire game, where the Eagles obviously were sitting players. The offense was down to their third string by the third quarter of that game, and the Eagles' offense legitimately couldn't move the ball more than 10 yards. I mean, it was disgusting to watch. I was impressed by the Eagles' defense, like I said, to not let the Cowboys move the ball super far, but like I said, it's the game, it's the time of year, it's the Cowboys might not have really been paying a whole lot of attention.
So at the end of the day, how excited or hyped were you about the result or anything that happened? Because I need to call some of you birds out, but I'll let you speak first before I call them birds out.
It's not going to mean anything for the playoffs. I mean, I guess it's very good to see these third-string players get their first ever snaps over, 3 or 4 plays in a game like that. They're getting 20-plus snaps, and they made the tackles that they were supposed to make. You know what I'm saying?
So your job, cool. The end.
Okay,
guess who's not going to be talking about it tomorrow? Right.
I agree, but to your point, okay, as an Eagles fan, all I just want to see them is do their job,
Just
and they did their job.
Just get a W and then move
Look,
on.
as miserable as the offense looked, they couldn't move the ball 5 to 10 yards with Nate Sudfeld on the field. To see the talent difference in the Cowboys defense to the Eagles offense to that point, to understand that that's the same talent difference from the Dallas offense to the Eagles defense. Now, granted, like I said, the Cowboys just might not have cared as much, obviously, so that has a factor in this, but there was still a talent difference, and if Zeke Elliott wanted to put his head down and run those guys over, do I believe it could have happened? Yeah, most likely, but he didn't, so I'll take it, and I was happy to see it.
So do you feel like y'all just dominated at any point?
No, nobody dominated that game. The game was 6-0.
Okay, well, the main reason I need to ask that is because I have Eagles fans on my freaking Facebook. Of course, these bums, the Eagles fans on my. That's why I can't stand living in this area.
In the first half, you would call the stats. Obviously, the Eagles. It looked like the Eagles defense dominated, but like I said, the Cowboys.
I'm not gonna
just
call this
didn't
person out
care.
by name because it's my boy, but I mean, this person, there's one in particular, literally posted a status, and I didn't even know what the score was at this
Do
point.
I know
I don't think so. I didn't even know what the score was at this point because at that point the red zone really wasn't going to. I knew it was 0-0 at one point, but I was just going through Facebook and this person said, "Why are the Eagles' second unit or whatever, third unit, whatever it was at that point? Why is the Eagles' second unit dominating? I believe was his exact word. The Cowboys' first unit." Was your excuses? That's basically the gist of it. I was like, holy shit, what's the score? I went on Google on my phone and I was like, what's this? I'm thinking, damn, it blew up or something. It was still 0-0. It was like 3 minutes left in the third quarter out, and then the red zone just conveniently switched over and said, yeah, we haven't been going to this game because neither team has gone past the 40 or whatever.
Yeah, neither
and
team
I was
went
like,
past the 30-yard line until
who
the
is
middle of the
dominant?
third
I was
quarter.
like, what do you Birds fans talk? I can't. This is why I can't. That is the epitome of why I can't stand y'all in general. What domination is taking place?
Look.
Okay, yeah, it is our first strings and it is your second strings. Okay, that is embarrassing, but I expected it to be 21-0 then. It was not. It was 0-0. Neither team got
And
past
as
the
I
40s,
said,
so I was like,
that's what I was explaining to you is.
So?
That's what I was explaining to you is like, yeah, obviously I'm excited to see them not get run over.
Of course.
Duh, yeah, they should have absolutely probably been getting run over, but
yeah,
at the same
you
time,
should've. Right.
yeah.
Right. That's what. I have Eagles fans hit me up before the game,
I was ready
and
for
I
that
was
game
like,
to
I
be
don't
over.
care.
I was ready for that game to be over about halftime. I was before
right.
halftime hit. I was like, all right, this is done.
Dude, before the game, Eagles fans would hit me up, and I said, I don't care. during the game. Finally, it was like 6-0, and I was like, so about that game, and they were like, it doesn't matter. I was like, oh, now you're gonna throw that out there? I was like, you're right. I was like, yeah, you're right. It didn't matter before, during, and it's not gonna matter because we got the W.
I'm petty, so obviously I want them to lose. You're petty, so obviously you want the Cowboys to beat the Eagles. Right, but and
it meant
and
nothing.
the grand scheme of nothing, and the grand scheme of things,
idiots.
Nick Foles is still gonna start for the Eagles,
and he's still gonna suck, and they're probably gonna lose. Okay.
Speaking of Nick Foles, before we move on to anything else, I think that honestly, like talking of Eagles,
Eagles fans. Why don't you talk about Nick Foles not doing anything?
I think they should have made him earn to be sat in that game. I mean, to go, I think it was 3 for 11 for 39 yards and an interception. Mm-hmm. And honestly, he couldn't throw it from here to the camera without throwing it 5 feet off.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. I mean,
I'm just saying.
He couldn't throw it a legit 10 yards, 5 yards without throwing it 3 or 4 yards away from the receiver, right or left. And the one pass that he put on the money that was incomplete was dropped by Torrey Smith.
Okay. So one.
Okay, right. All the other incompletions, he was way off. And the interception, I mean, he wasn't even close. It's just, look, the fast-paced offense that Chip Kelly ran, it was a different kind of offense, and that's what I thought exploded him those years that everyone started to believe in him. And I don't have to go over it. We know the story. I did not believe in him at that time. I do not believe in him, obviously. And he has shown me nothing to believe in him. And it's really sad because that defense, watching that defense, not just against the Cowboys.
Not Chip Kelly. Wait, you're talking about...
No, I'm talking about his first time. Nick Foles, that first time around with the Eagles under Chip Kelly. That's why everyone was so in this and then so in love with this. And I kept saying at that time I thought it was the system, not the player.
Right, yeah. And now
the bigger unfortunate part for me is that defense, not just in the Cowboys game. Legitimately, you could take the 3 games out: the Seattle, the Rams, and the game after Carson Wentz got hurt against the Giants. You could take those 3 games out. This defense has been as good as I've seen a defense in Philadelphia be, with actually a pretty good amount of holes in the secondary, which we always allude to. And it's really heartbreaking to think that they legitimately might not give up more than 10 to 17 points, and they will lose a football game. I mean, they might end up giving up 35 to a really good team like the Rams, Minnesota, Atlanta, Carolina, New Orleans, obviously.
I doubt it,
but my point is, if they give up 17 to 24 points in a football game, with Carson Wentz, there's a decent chance they win.
Right.
Without Carson Wentz, there's no chance they win if they give up 17 to 24 points in a football game, and that's sad. That hurts.
Zero.
And it sucks to watch because they legitimately are talented enough to be able to do that. I don't know if they're going to, but they're talented enough to. And without Carson Wentz, you're right, obviously now the defense, it probably gives up a little more yards, they're on the field a little more, and they probably give up a little more points than they would with Carson Wentz being there, and we're not going to see the full-bred everything, but...
I don't know if they make it past the 1 game.
No, I have zero faith. I'm telling you, as an Eagles fan, I have zero faith that they're going to. Oh, they're not.
Somehow, they're not getting past that second one.
No.
Zero shot. I'm like, maybe there's a slight chance for the first. Second, there's no chance now.
I'm rooting like heck, but I don't.
No chance in hell.
Yeah, I don't see them winning a game in the playoffs. I don't see them scoring 10 points in a football game right now, and that's because look, you can run it. I mean, they could literally run it 45 times a game and maybe score 10 points in a football game, and that would be their best opportunity. But like, only scoring 10 points in the playoffs in the NFL is not going to do it. Carolina won a game like 17-10 a couple years ago against San Francisco, and it was probably like the lowest scoring playoff game I've ever watched. Maybe the Houston Oakland game last year with the 2 backup quarterbacks. So do you remember it was 2 backup quarterbacks? So it's just, and if you look around,
man, that's what's gonna suck for y'all moving forward. Y'all got some crazy, ridiculous defenses coming your way, regardless.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me?
That doesn't help.
I mean, you have Minnesota. You have... Carolina has a pretty good defense.
Right, yeah.
New Orleans has a good secondary. The Rams have a great defense. Atlanta can get after it. They're physical. I don't know if they're really good, but they're physical. Right. They're physical. Right. And they're experienced. They've been through this. Now they're going to have to go on the road. Exactly. That's kind of the
not even in the wild card. None of them suck.
Right.
It's not...
The NFC is a gauntlet. And speaking of the NFC as a gauntlet, do you see the NFC East schedule next year for our teams?
I glanced.
Brutal, man. Brutal. They play. It seems like every playoff team. I don't know if they actually play every playoff team, but they play. It seems like they play the Jaguars.
Tennessee,
they play Tennessee. They play Indianapolis. What if Luck comes back?
That's a W. Okay.
Houston with Watson.
We'll see. Okay, yeah, I got you.
They were 7-2 with Watson.
I got you. Right. Yeah, it's not good. That's all.
The NFC that we play, I'm pretty sure, is the South, which is where all the 3 teams made it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is the South. I was like, well, that sucks.
And you guys get the Packers, and we get Minnesota.
We got all playoff
as
teams.
our random other
Aaron
NFC.
Rodgers is coming back.
It's just like we are just, all of us are in a whirlwind, and the NFC East might be pretty good. Like, at least the Eagles and Cowboys against each other.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just it's a gauntlet. You talk
It's
about
gonna suck next year.
Yeah, I'm scared already, and Carson Wentz isn't even rehabbing yet.
I don't even look at the schedule like that, but I usually just glance at it.
I glanced at it,
and I glanced
I just
at it,
looked at
and I
every
was
team
literally
that
like, that really sucks, actually.
I looked at every team that we're gonna play, and like for the Cowboys and Eagles, and I was just like, man, this is going to be a rough schedule for both of us next year, man. But it's kind of the fun of the NFL, and honestly, that's how it flips so much. That's how the Jaguars go from being a bottom feeder eventually to a top. Now, Cleveland, we'll get into them. They're the exception, obviously. Okay, but absolutely. And we called that pretty early in the season that we said it's going to be really hard for them to win if they didn't get it, in that little time frame in week 3 to 7, I said, where they had like about 4 games where they could have won at least one, and they didn't. And once they didn't do that, we kept saying the schedule down the road, it does not.
Kind of, even in the middle, you were like, do they? I was like, I don't think they win again.
Maybe. I kept saying maybe,
I was like, I don't think
but we never picked them.
Right. I was like,
I think I picked them once.
Yeah, I think one time. I forget who it was, but then they didn't, and I was like, they're not.
We were getting really good into this. I want to break down the NFC real quick before we go into how this all happened.
Yeah.
The bottom of the NFC, Atlanta is the lowest seed, right? Yeah, Atlanta's the lowest seed. Carolina's the second lowest seed, and then you have New Orleans and the Rams as the 2 teams hosting. Right, so then you have Minnesota as well. Right, all 3 teams in the South are playing this weekend, but then you have Minnesota waiting as well. The Eagles, unfortunately, with the backup quarterback, but this NFC, heavy look. Look, the best quarterbacks the best quarterbacks literally go from the bottom to the top. You're looking at Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Drew Brees as the 3 bottom teams, and then you have Jeff Fisher's three favorite quarterbacks in Nick Foles, Jared Goff, and Case Keenum. Case Keenum from Minnesota. It literally goes bottom. Right, he had all 3 of them, and they are the 3 top seeds in the NFC this year. Can we just take a second to? And he also thought that Jared Goff.
He let everybody know. Did you see that comment?
Oh yeah, he said this is him. He also said last year that Jared Goff wasn't good enough to dress at all in any games. And now Jared Goff is the 3rd seed, and actually
he said he left the Rams in a grave spot. Like,
yeah,
bro,
right. No,
bro, shut up.
That 37-year-old coach just took over and did well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Give him some credit. Like, he might be coach of the year, bro. Like,
him,
I would give it to him. So
I'm biased. Doug Peterson, obviously. Neither team was supposed to win 8 games.
No.
So I don't care. I understand if they give it to him. I do. I'm not even against it. I'm not.
You gotta give it to. I don't even know his name, but you gotta give it to the Rams coach.
I think Sean McDonough.
That's a damn shame. We disrespecting this man, even a man that made the playoffs.
I'm looking at him.
We're saying he should be.
I'm looking at him right now.
I'm looking at him too. He's a ginger without a soul, but I don't know his name. He looks like Todd.
He's yelling at the old Cowboys coach right now. Ed Wade.
He is.
Yeah, I call Ed Wade Michelin Man.
Ed Wade? Who's Ed Wade?
No, not Ed Wade.
Wade Phillips?
Wade Phillips, yeah, what's the difference? Ed Wade.
Well, that's not the head coach I'm speaking of, but...
Wade Phillips is the defensive coordinator for the Rams.
Right, correct.
I used to call him
Michelin Man. He's not the head coach.
No, I know, he's the defensive coordinator. I'm saying the Rams... I can see the Rams head coach yelling at him right now because he's their defensive coordinator. I was watching it the other day.
This is so disrespectful. This is why JD Sports sucks. They don't even know the coach of the year's name. The fucked up part is I have on here coach of the year. I said Rams because I was like, I don't know his name.
Well, someone starts paying us, we'll know everybody's name.
I heard that. Shout out to the ginger.
We'll start finding ourselves for not knowing names if that's where it comes to. Like, we have no problem with that.
Yeah, I'll be fine if someone starts paying me. They give a shit. Anyway, shouts to him.
But the NFC, back to that. Okay, so yeah. I'm not saying Atlanta's going to do it. But Atlanta was the team last year.
Yeah.
They just beat Carolina.
Yeah.
Cam having his worst game of the season, obviously, at the worst time of the season.
Cameron Jarrell. Did you see Cam? Yeah, I saw him. I saw him suck, which is what he tends to do. Anyway.
Tends to do? I mean, look, seriously.
Oh, there's that trigger word. All
right, that's fine. Do they have more wins?
Joke, relax.
Okay, because Chris Carter said that Cam Newton's holding Carolina back, and I have a question for you. Do you think that Cam Newton's holding Carolina back, or do you think he was their MVP just 2 years ago? And
Carolina is holding Carolina back. I still think Cam Newton is slightly overrated. I've been on that kick for 2
because
years.
you sit next to me and you think I have him overrated, but the rest of the world looks at Cam Newton in a very negative way, and you understand
within
that.
the past 2 years, especially. He's still. To the rest of the world, it's a lesser extent, but obviously with you, it's magnified. But I'd still say he's slightly overrated. I still think he's great. I still think he's very.
They have 12.
Solid.
They have
he's
12.
Good. He's very good. I think he's a very good quarterback.
They have 12 losses in his career when he scored over
Cool.
20 points.
I mean,
No. What I'm trying to explain is he has done a whole lot with nothing over the last couple years. And yes, this year has he had 3 really bad games?
He had
Absolutely.
one great year.
He had one great year, yes, but I'm saying the other years he was the clear reason their offense did any production.
Correct. Right. So it's more so Carolina than him. Yes.
But my point is he has 3 bad games this year, and after all 3 games it was like Cam Newton's the worst player in football. He doesn't deserve that.
No.
But my thing is Chris Carter literally said Cam Newton's holding Carolina back. I think that's absolutely ridiculous when this guy over the last 3 years he got injured last year.
He's not holding him back. He's not holding him back. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, he has combined like 27 wins in those 3 years in the regular season. Like, it's a ridiculous number. They have the second most wins in that year in those 3 years to the Patriots. I mean, they're really high on wins, and all of them had
the majority of those wins came in 2 years ago. Let's be correct about it. The majority came during that Super Bowl run.
Well, he was only eligible for 34 of those games, and they won 37 of those games, and they won 27. He's 27-10 in his last 37 games as a starter.
That's what I'm saying. That 1 year where they were really good and went to the Super Bowl, that's where the majority of those wins are coming from.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Outside of that 1 year,
but that's still 7 wins in 9 games 1 year, and 9 wins in 16 games the next.
It's kind of, and that's very.
I mean, this year for the 9 wins is a little error. 10 wins, I guess. They went 10 and 6. But he won 7 out of 9 last year before he got hurt.
I got you.
And he went 15-1 the year before. So he had 3 losses in 2 years, and then this year.
Look, I'm not saying he's the worst thing that's going on with Carolina right now. I also don't believe he's the greatest thing of all time either.
I understand. I don't think he's the greatest thing of all time either. I'm just explaining.
It's not all him. No, right. It's not all him.
I also think that there's as good of a chance that they win or lose this game. Look, here's what my point with the NFC is I was trying to say earlier, not just Carolina, anybody, Atlanta. I think Atlanta has as good as a shot to win the. I think the Eagles are the only team who can X out as aren't going to be the Super Bowl representatives for the NFC. Is what my point. Atlanta is the 6th seed, and I think that anybody from the 6th seed up could literally be in Minnesota representing the NFC. And that's how talented this is. And the bottom half has the most experienced quarterbacks, and we have seen year in and year out the story in the playoffs be quarterbacks. Now, we have also seen year in and year out the story of the playoffs be number 1 seed. The last time that it hasn't been 2 number 1 seeds in the Super Bowl, I think was 2012 or 2013, the Ravens and the 49ers. I mean, that's been a couple Super Bowls now. It's been the number 1. Obviously, like I said, I'm already Xing the Eagles out. The number 1 seed is the only team who can't make it to the Super Bowl. Yeah. I think that trend ends this year because Carson Wentz got hurt. I'm not saying that the Eagles would have went to the Super Bowl. I think they would have had, obviously, the much better chance. I might have obviously been picking them as an Eagles fan. I would have been super excited. I would love to see this have an opportunity because I feel like they would have had as good a chance as anybody to make it to the Super Bowl. If you had to pick a team right now, out of the 6 teams, who you taking to the Super Bowl?
God, that's so gross. I would want. I don't think I would want to rely on one of the top heavy defenses, more so like the Minnesota or the Rams situation,
but you can't. It's hard to go against those quarterbacks.
Right. If I had to make a pick, I can't really want to say this. I can't even do it with a straight face.
I can't either.
Because I'm not gonna go with Carolina, and I'm not gonna go with Atlanta because Atlanta's played me. No. Well, damn, that throws another wrench. I was going to say the Rams. Damn, you just threw a wrench in my whole logic. Because I was going with the Rams until you said that. I'm like, damn, I can't go against Breeze.
My first thought was the Rams, too.
In the playoff game, I can't go against Breeze.
My first thought was the Rams, too.
I might go with the Saints. I can't go against Breeze. And they're decent. The defense is all right. But the Rams might, though.
I think the winner of Carolina, New Orleans, or the Rams.
If I have to,
I think the winner of Carolina,
my life's on the line, I'm picking the Rams. If it's not, I'm picking the Saints. Let's put it that way.
I'm going to pick the Rams as well, I think. But if I honestly think the winner of Carolina, New Orleans, or the Rams are going to be the representative in the Super Bowl this year.
No faith in Minnesota?
No, I don't think Case Keenum I don't think it's going to happen, but they said Sam Bradford's back to practice. I don't think either of
That's
them...
a whole mess.
Right, I don't think either of them are honestly good enough to beat the Rams. I know they did. I know Case Keenum beat the Rams and put up 37.
Right.
They were rolling a lot different.
The Rams also inexperienced. They might not.
So is Minnesota.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually,
If the Rams win...
most of these teams outside of
If the Rams
a couple
win...
of these quarterbacks are inexperienced.
If the Rams win, they go to Minnesota. If Atlanta wins, they go to Philadelphia. If the Rams win, then the winner of New Orleans, Carolina, goes to Philadelphia. And if Atlanta wins, then the winner of New Orleans, Carolina, goes to
I didn't follow any of that.
Minnesota. But
Trust me, they said on red zone every 30 seconds. I was like, shut up.
I had the red zone turned down. I was listening to Merle Reese.
Every score they were giving updates, and I was like, I need you to stop because I'm getting confused. But so life's on line. Who are you picking? I picked the Rams.
I'll go with the Rams.
And I don't like it, but
I don't like it either at all. But like I said, I will take either the Rams or the Carolina.
I'd root for Drew Brees. Definitely.
Who I'm rooting for, we all know.
Yeah,
In the NFC,
Cam.
if it's not the Eagles.
Right.
If it's not the Eagles. Because I'm rooting for the Eagles over anything.
Right.
110%.
I would root for Atlanta, but I just give up on them. Like they're just.
If the Rams play Carolina. If the Rams beat Carolina, then the Rams play Atlanta. If the Rams beat Atlanta, then the Rams go to Minnesota, and that means the winner of Carolina, New Orleans, has to play Philadelphia. And it's going to be really hard for me to root for Cam Newton to win a game to go have to play Philadelphia in a playoff game. So I'm going to have to root for New Orleans the next day if the Rams win.
Would you stop liking Cam Newton if he beats Philadelphia in a playoff game?
No, it's not his fault that Carson Wentz got hurt. The Eagles would probably beat Carolina, I think, if Carson Wentz was in there. I'm confident in saying that they have a really good shot of doing that.
I don't really let that go.
It would be Carson Wentz's first playoff game, and I don't know how he would play in his first playoff game without question. Second-year quarterback, only 23, 24 years old, 25 years old. I think he just turned 25. I think he just turned 25 the other day. Happy birthday to him, LeBron James, and Tiger Woods, December 30th. Happy birthday to my dad, December 31st.
Fuck all them. Happy birthday.
Oh, I was going to the real life. I was going to the real life heroes here in a second.
Who cares about any of those names?
I was just letting them all know.
Any of those bums.
Yeah, but yeah, happy birthday to my dad.
Definitely.
Definitely probably the most influential reason of why him and my grandfather from my mom's side were probably the most influential reasons of why I do sports so much, because they just both were always watching it.
Word.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for me to root against Cam in these playoffs, but if he plays against the Eagles, obviously it's going to be easy to root against him in that one. But man, I just if the Rams win, I don't want to see him win against New Orleans the next day, because I don't have to deal with Cam versus the Eagles in a playoff game, because I know that Cam will win that game. I know that the Eagles will lose this football game, and that's the sad part. Moving on.
The NFC's a mess.
The NFC is awesome. They are so stacked. They are so talented, and it's going to be very tough for anybody over the next. Not this year, not this next year. I think the next couple of years, with all the talent at quarterback, all the young talent at quarterback, with how deep the South seems to be. With Dallas coming back, you never know
what's going on with the NFC East. Yeah.
You never know with the Giants in Washington.
Yeah.
They always have sparks, flashes in the pans. We're gonna in Seattle miss the playoffs. I mean, Green Bay, sure. Aaron Rodgers, Detroit.
They're all coming back.
Detroit. We'll get to them.
Detroit.
Quickly to
That's
the
my
AFC.
reaction to Detroit.
Quickly,
everybody else cool.
To the AFC, because we have a lot to get into.
Yeah.
Before we get to their playoff picture, the way this happened was Baltimore needed to win, and they were in. They played Cincinnati. If Baltimore lost and Buffalo won against Miami, then Buffalo was going to make it. Buffalo wins their game.
Thank you, Scott Hansen.
Pretty early in the night. I want to say like about a half hour before the Ravens game was over. They all rushed into their locker room. Ravens game came down to the wire. Ravens lose on, not a fluke play, but a fairly fluke play. Something not happened seeing often. No big deal. They lost, though.
Yep.
Not playoffs. The coach was complaining all week about the game getting moved from 1 to 4.
Which didn't make any sense to me.
I think that it was a pretty cool idea that they moved the game from 1 to 4, because I thought it was a really good idea to leave all of the games that meant something at the same time. All at 4 o'clock. Plus, the games that didn't mean anything, get them out of the way at 1 o'clock. I really like this idea. That
Yeah,
was the
for
first
that-
thing.
For that, that's fine.
That was the first thing they've done for the general fans of the population of the NFL in a very long time. Yes.
Sure. I mean, from that perspective, that's cool.
And I think-
I was more so just like, Coach, you get an extra like 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever. I was like, why are you tripping?
Who cares? Well, he looked at it as the fans aren't going to show up, or and they're going to be leaving early because of the New Year's plans. Look, I looked at it this way: you have the playoffs on the line. Your fans will be there.
Right. If they really care.
They'll be out of the game by
You're
9
really
o'clock.
your
at the
fans,
latest.
they'll
This
be
game
there.
starts at 4. Let's just say you go into crazy long overtime and you had a really long fourth quarter. They're still out of the gate by 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yeah, right.
They're in their cars. They're at home by 11. New Year's is at midnight.
He was tripping. I mean, it was stupid. I didn't understand it. Regardless, it didn't make sense. Everything that we just, all 3 points, it made no sense for him to say that.
But I really like just the fact that they did it for us, the general fans, the population of the NFL that had nothing. I get why maybe him or the Ravens fans could be upset, but let's just take them out of the equation. The rest of us, the other 31 fans that just like the NFL, that was awesome. But they lost, and Joe Flacco looked really bad in the first half. He looked really good in the second half. Their defense lost it for them. They're late, but their defense was the only reason they were even in it early. It was just a mess. The Ravens have been a pretty model franchise, but the last 2 years have been a little rough for them. And they missed the playoffs on the last...
They've been done since the Super Bowl victory, bro.
But, no, they made the playoffs the next year. They made the playoffs, or they won their division the year after, but then they lost... Listen, last year they lost on Christmas Day.
Cool.
And then this year they lost on the last day of the year.
Damn. You know I went on and still in this Joe Flacco Baltimore kick. So.
But they were literally only 1 game away from the playoffs both year. They're that close still, but that means it's fading away, I think, not getting closer.
Yeah, good for you, Cincinnati. So
Cincinnati's the team that beat them. Saved Marvin Lewis' job. We'll get into that. I know Dwight's super excited to talk about that. He loves Marvin Lewis. Buffalo's in.
Who?
Buffalo. They're in because Baltimore lost.
Shout out to the Ryan brothers don't coach because they're so great. Did the Ryan brothers take Buffalo to the playoffs for the first time in are you sure? They're so good though, defensively. They're great. They're great. Did they have a job in the NFL? No? Oh. So great.
Before we get into another playoff team for the AFC.
Shout out to Buffalo. Shout out to Terry Wolf for that.
Tell you what, circle the wagons.
Shout out to somebody who's actually a Buffalo Bills fan that we know. All one of you. But
My-
shout outs to him.
My boy named Ryan, he was in my cousin's wedding as well as me. We got pretty close over that time. He's a huge
I've known
Buffalo fan.
2 in my entire life. Shout out to both of them.
He was pretty hype. Circle the wagons.
Yeah. You and Chris Berman, shout outs to y'all.
That's the way they circled the wagons.
It's the only reason I know what that even means.
We'll
Which I
get-
still don't know what it means, but it's the only reason I know that phrase exists.
We'll get back into the... Well, they circled the wagons like no other. They were down the biggest game in history in the NFL. They were down the third biggest game in the history of the NFL. They came back in both of them. Literally this year, circle the wagons. They had no shot. They needed the Ravens to lose a game. They needed to win a game. And the week before, they needed two teams to lose, the Chargers and somebody else. Both those teams lost. Gave them life. They win again. Ravens lose. Circle the wagons like no other, man. Circle the wagons. Buffalo Bills. Anyways,
I still don't get it, but whatever.
one team I want to talk about before we keep going with the AFC playoff teams. The Browns, 0-16.
What the hell do we need to talk about the Browns for?
Are they as bad as the Detroit Lions that went 0-16 in 2008?
Well, I would imagine, yes.
Who do you think wins if we Madden simmed it? I think the 08 Lions because they got Charlie Batch. He was like a 15-year vet at that point, it felt like, even though it was probably only 4 years in the league.
If we Madden sim that, I think I'm going to get the red ring of death. I don't think my Xbox is going to survive. It's going to be a tie. There we go.
Cleveland Browns fired
I
their
don't
GM.
know. It's going to suck.
They're going to keep their coach. Their coach then after their game. Did you see how they lost the game?
That way circles the wagons like the Cleveland Browns.
Did you see how they lost the game? Dude dropped the ball on 4th down in the end zone, wide open. He dropped the ball, it hit his hands. They would have won it. They were down by 3.
And then the dude dropped the ball for first down.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a damn shame.
Yep.
Man, that sucks for him. And then the young quarterback was talking to him on the sidelines, and they showed it, and I was like, he's literally telling him, bro, we play for the Cleveland Browns. We should just be thankful that we still have a job because we might not have one after this job because nobody signs Browns after this.
Did you see what their coach said after the game?
No.
Most guys wouldn't stick around through this. Like, he was trying to get praised for sticking around through this. Like, Hugh Jackson, I like you, man, but, like, not the best way to take that approach.
Oh, my. The Browns.
They're going to
Are they ever not going to be a joke?
No.
In our lifetime?
Ever since the drive, man.
I'm saying no. Ever since Homeboy was on the cover of Madden.
Oh, Peyton Hillis.
I was going to say, I know it's Hillis. Peyton.
Homeboy.
It's Homeboy. Shout out to him.
Stay white.
He my boy. Stay away. You know, it's staying away right now. Anybody know who he played for? Who he played for like the year after? Anybody know? No? Wasn't he a Colt for like 5 minutes?
Speaking of the Tennessee Titans.
I don't know. Was he a Colt for 5 minutes?
I don't know. I said
I don't know.
Tennessee Titans.
I don't know who brought the Tennessee Titans, but I was talking about Peyton Hillis. Who he played for?
I don't know. That's why I said speaking of the Tennessee Titans. There's a shot.
Stay away, Peyton Hillis. He didn't play for the Tennessee Titans.
He may have. I don't know.
He did.
No, he could have.
No.
I believe you.
So you're saying you have no clue?
No clue.
Does EA know?
No.
EA Sports know?
They didn't even have like the picture of him the next year. There was like that, like the blackface. You know, where it was like all blacked out, whatever. Like it looks like a shadow instead of like their picture. Like that's what his picture was the next year on Madden.
It's in the game. Oh wait, he's not in the game anymore.
You could pick him up on free agents like 3 years later.
Yeah, and he was literally like a 70-something overall.
And
now he's just not there. They said fucking just delete
he just
him.
never retired.
You think he still creates himself in the game?
Nah, I think he's somewhere in the woods hunting.
I think he might still be creating himself in Madden.
Playing with
he
the
plays
Browns.
career mode.
Playing with the Browns every time.
And they win.
Wears number 44 and plays fullback. Hands the ball off to himself every play. Right behind Joe Thomas.
And they win the Super Bowl every year.
He averages like 277 and 3 touchdowns a game.
5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
He broke 2K.
30.
Really? Like he rushed for over 2,000 yards.
So what is he? PH 2K?
Check the pH level. It's 2K. You get it? Why we just roast Peyton Hillis for no damn reason? That's a damn shame. Shout out to you if you're watching. You're probably one of the few people watching.
I don't know if they get service in the middle of the woods, man.
I was gonna say he has nothing else to do than watch JD Sports.
So back to speaking of the Titans.
That's some average shit. We petty.
Tony.
God, you can't just go from being average and petty to then talking about this man and his punk ass tattoo.
I wanted to call Tony, the famous guy, if we're going to bring this back up, JD Sports, famous Tony, got a tattoo. Dwight's friend, my friend as well, on his leg. That's his first ever tattoo of him, correct?
Tennessee, yeah.
Yeah, it was of the Titans logo, and it said Super Bowl champs, and it had this year's.
It's really horrible. It looks like somebody took a crayon and drew it on his leg.
But either way, it says Super Bowl champs of this season,
Just saying.
with this year's Super Bowl logo, behind the Tennessee Titans.
And before this goes any further, because I
wanted to call him.
But there was just no way. Like, how are we gonna sync that audio about? Because I know he's gonna be like, "Why did you call me?" Because they were like, "How? Buy me a mixer, buy me some microphones, buy me a laptop, and we would have had you on, bro."
So,
but otherwise, he told me everything he wanted. Like, anyway,
Here's how we're going to do this.
how are you gonna do this?
If the Titans win the Super Bowl, can we have Tony on that show?
I'm so confident that, yeah.
Can we buy him like wings and beer? We'll do the whole, like, you and I will like do the whole spread for him. Like, he deserves like a pretty he deserves
more than that. But
do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, all right. So like JD Sports, like, we are rooting for. I would like to take this on as a show and root for the Titans.
I'm not rooting for him.
No, I know that, but I mean, like, I think that we like JD Sports. Like, we're out here on the movement. All of our followers, watchers, listeners, everybody tweet. Everyone get excited. Let's get on the Titans bandwagon all together.
Just saying, everybody tighten up. That's the hashtag apparently.
Tighten up. We're tightening up then. JD Sports, tighten up.
Tighten up on that fucking tattoo. That needs to be. What's he gonna do if they lose? Has he cut the leg off?
I think he just
have.
puts him over for next year's Super Bowl,
So
obviously.
you just add another I as Roman numeral, so you add another I or an L, whatever it is. You just add another letter. I bet she's gonna run out of letters and it's gonna look ridiculous.
Speaking
It
of
already looks ridiculous.
speaking of coaches, I don't know the name of. Does he know the name of his coach? Because I know he wants to fire him if they win the Super Bowl.
I'm
apparently,
sure
right?
he does. Yes, he's told me. Even I forget his name. Yes, he.
Speaking of coaches,
Okay.
I don't know the name of him.
I mean, this man told me. Okay, in fairness, he told me the week before, and
Yeah.
this was before week 17. He told me, I don't even care if we win this game, we beat the Jaguars, we go to playoffs, and we win a Super Bowl. I still want to fire. I was like, wait, even if y'all win a Super Bowl, you still want to be fired? Like, why? He was like, yeah. He doesn't like him. He doesn't like him. He doesn't like
Mike
his.
Marchak.
He doesn't like is that his name?
Yes.
Okay. No, it's Mike Malarkey.
No, here we go. Together we did this. JD Sports in the house. Again, we'll start finding each other
You
one
say
day.
Mike Melanchek?
Munchak, or I don't know. No, it's close. Malarkey. It's malarkey. Bunch of malarkey.
This show's malarkey.
If the Titans win, it'll be malarkey.
This show's malarkey, and you're right. No, he said he doesn't like He doesn't like Malarkey's. I can't even say that name now. He doesn't like Homie's play calling.
Can't wait to see Homie on Saturday.
He doesn't think he's utilized Marcus Mariota the way he should this year, which I don't disagree. I don't agree. But
Well,
it is
13
what it is.
passing touchdowns. Cam had, 7 rushing? I mean, Cam only had 4 less rushing touchdowns than Mariota did passing. I agree. They need to open up the offense a little more.
They do.
Mariota doesn't turn the ball over at all in the red zone, and they legitimately stopped throwing it this year in the red zone. It makes no sense.
Right, but I'm like, okay, whereas I heard him and I was like, yeah, I don't disagree. I was like, bro, but if you win a Super Bowl, you're still saying
You're not gonna fire your head coach if you win the Super Bowl.
He said he wants to be quoted as saying, yes, that is what he
Well, I'm glad he wants to be quoted as saying that. I'm glad I brought that up then. That's funny.
He wants to be quoted with his tattoo, too, so, yeah. They're going to win.
Well, I just wanted to, before we started going any further, we are tightening up here.
Yeah, I don't think either one of us is going to pick them, but we're going to keep this show going. We're going to see.
Go Titans.
All right. Let's see if this man picks them now.
Before we get to our picks that you just brought up, can I bring up college football?
Sure.
I know you didn't watch either of the semifinals, I assume.
No.
Okay, well, before we get into the semifinals, I already shout out to Notre Dame. The Big Ten went, I think, 7-1 in bowl games this year. Their only loss was Michigan on New Year's Day to South Carolina. The SEC, I think, was 2-5. Or no, they were 3-5 on New Year's Day. But 2 of those 3 wins were the semifinals. I think the SEC is the best conference overall. Everyone wants to talk about the Big Ten. I think the bowl games are a horrible description of who is the best overall. I do think that the Penn State and Ohio State wins are legitimate. Like, Penn State beat Washington, who has a really good run defense. I think Penn State and Washington both went out there and put their full efforts on. And Saquon Barkley is going to be the best athlete going to the NFL, the running back for Penn State. He ran for like 150-something and 2 touchdowns. He had a 93-yard touchdown. He is the real deal. And I don't think their team was the real deal. I think he is the real deal. But they're going to be loaded going into next year. They have a ridiculous freshman class coming in. And Ohio State's one also is legitimate over USC. To put, I think, Big Ten on the map is a very big conference. But I still think, and Wisconsin, you can add theirs in. But I still think the SEC overall is just, they are the best conference. And they just have they have 4 of the 7 most dominant teams in America. I mean, and I'm not just talking this year. I'm saying Georgia over the next 4 or 5 years. It's either Georgia, LSU, Florida. You could throw in a whole couple different teams. A&M, Texas A&M was in there for a little bit. But then you're always going to have your Alabamas, your Auburns. It's just really difficult to get through those top 4 teams in the SEC every single year. Alabama and Auburn guaranteed every year, and then whoever else is in those mixes. I just don't think any Big Ten team would be able to go up against them in those semifinals, and they didn't get to. They didn't get the opportunity to, but I don't think they would have been able to win. What were you going to say about when I bring up Penn State and Barkley?
This guy's funny. So what's his name? The running back?
Saquon Barkley.
So does he go number 1?
No. He's a running back. And the Browns need a quarterback. They've already said they're going to go after a quarterback. Also, it wouldn't be
talent.
They need an offensive line, but like the Cowboys got Ezekiel Elliott, who was very good.
3, I think.
But they got him with a really good offensive line already in place. The Jaguars,
something like that. I don't remember.
The Jaguars got Leonard Fournette at 3 or 4. But again, with a really good offensive line in place. He's not a Todd Gurley where he can just get a bunch of hits in the backfield. In 5 years from now, he's still going to be as talented as Todd Gurley is, 3 to 5 years from now. Barkley's going to need a pretty good offensive line. He's more of a McCaffrey. I think he's a better Christian McCaffrey. He's a lot quicker, more elusive on the outside. But we're looking at more runners like Ezekiel Elliott's closer to a LeGarrette Blount and a Jay Ajayi where he can put his head down and run over you. Don't get me wrong. He can Barkley where he can just put those burners on and outrun you. That's what makes him so special. But Ezekiel Elliott and Gurley are more of the Marshawn Lynch kind of runners. And
truck you.
You're okay if your offensive line isn't all that good. Same with Fournette. Even though all 3 of them have now good offensive lines, Gurley did not have a good offensive line early. Where Barkley's going to need more of a Carolina offense. Where also you're going to need more of a spread offense that Carolina runs because I see him going to a team like the Buccaneers.
Carolina.
Carolina already has McCaffrey. They're not going to draft another running back that high. They just drafted him, I think, 6 last year. But the Giants, teams like that, I don't want to see him go to the Giants, but teams that spread it out, teams that run 3 and 4 sets every play, because the Giants run three wide receiver sets every play. You're going to need a team like that that's going to do that. I don't know who else is up there. I'm trying to think of who else is going to be a top pick. Who's going to maybe need a running back. But Barkley, I think he's going to be the best talent coming out. He's the purest raw talent. Strength-wise, he is just a freak. I don't think he was the best player in college football this year. I don't necessarily know if that was his fault or if the team around him just wasn't all that good. But I think Baker Mayfield was the best overall player in college football this year. But Barkley is the best talent, best athlete coming out. Speaking of Baker Mayfield, played in one of the best college football games I've seen in a couple of years. I told you last year, these semifinal games, and this is now the 4th year of this, have been the most intense sporting events I've watched. I mean, this is just, it gets better and better. College football, I always say to everybody, to me, there's no bigger feeling than a big game in college football, and these games just seem like the biggest of the big. I mean, this year's Rose Bowl was the first semifinal, and it was Oklahoma and Georgia. Georgia's defense, really good. Oklahoma's offense, really good. Georgia's offense, pretty good. Oklahoma's defense, no good. I picked Oklahoma to win the game. They lost in double overtime, 52-40. I picked them to win the game because, as I said about Baker Mayfield, I think he was the best player in college football this year. There was just something different about him, watching him on the football field. He was very special. Their offense is very talented around him. That's what helps. Good coaching as well. Georgia's defense, though, big, strong, and their offense, they have 2 running backs who, one is almost as good as Ezekiel Elliott, and the other one is only a step behind those 2. They have 2 legit running backs who I think are going to be NFL top caliber running backs. So with that and a really good offensive line, they had a freshman quarterback. They were down 24 points, 17 twice, and they came back and won that game. It was a tale of 2 halves. Baker Mayfield had 3 touchdowns overall passing, and then 1 catching touchdown. And when he caught that touchdown in the second quarter, I'm somebody who always says it's a tale of 2 halves. But in that game, I was even caught up in Oklahoma is just routing them right now. Like I usually am, because I've also seen a lot in college football. When it stumbles against you early, it just rolls against you really bad and goes downhill. And their blowouts seem a lot worse than NFL blowouts. And it seems like it happens a lot quicker than NFL blowouts, too. So watching that game, that's what it felt like. But then right after halftime, Kirby Smart, who is the head coach of Georgia, he was a assistant of Nick Saban at Alabama. And Alabama and Kirby Smart, Nick Saban always used to say that he felt like him and Kirby Smart were the best 2 together at halftime adjustments. And at halftime, Kirby Smart took his Georgia team and they made some halftime adjustments. They made 2 3-and-out stops right off the bat, and that was it. I mean, their defense was flying all over the field, and they looked like a whole different team. Their freshman quarterback, he's 19 years old, true freshman, had a ridiculous second half to come back and win that football game. Their running backs had combined 212 yards to win that football game. it was an impressive second half from Georgia. As impressive a first half as Oklahoma had, but that was one of the best games I've watched in college football, like I said, in a very long time. So shout out to both those teams. And everybody trying to like get down on Baker Mayfield, like get out of here, man. The dude had 4 touchdowns overall in the biggest game of his career. That was not his fault. He was up 24 points. It was not his fault they lost that game. He scored 48. That should be enough to win any football game.
And they're
Do you know what I mean, though? So like,
still lost.
he threw 1 interception.
Still lost.
The 2 turnovers. There was only 2 turnovers in that game.
That's what happens, bro. Did he get the W though?
No, I hear you. There was 2 turnovers in that
That's
game.
where we're at.
In both of those turnovers, one was him, one was a Georgia player who fumbled, but the Georgia player who fumbled scored the game-winning touchdown. But the 2 turnovers in that game led to touchdowns. Immediately after. I mean, college football, it showed like how just holding on to the ball is one of the most key things, especially in those games. I mean, that was the most intense football game I've watched in a very long time. The second game, as I said, the first one was a 24-point comeback from victory. I tweeted JD on.
I'm gonna say he doesn't tweet on this thing that he tells y'all to follow.
On mine, I tweeted.
Anyway, he doesn't. I don't even know why do we even do this whole intro. I don't know. He just needs to stop doing it. I've been telling him for like 6 months to just stop doing the whole intro because he doesn't even do it him damn self. So I'm just saying, keep telling people to do something and you don't even fucking do it. This guy, I'm just saying.
The team.
We ain't gonna be doing it no more.
The team that.
Follow us on Twitter. I don't even use it. I did on my account. Anyway. It's jabroni. Go on.
The first game was a 24-point comeback from behind victory. The second game, I said you might be able to score 24 points and win because Clemson's offense, as talented as they are, their defense is really good and Alabama's defense is really good. The game was actually 24-6, so I felt pretty good that I picked that. I also picked Alabama to win that game, so I was right on one, wrong on the other one. Alabama's dominance in that game was unraveled from the gate. I mean, I don't think the only way you can beat Alabama is if you have a mobile quarterback. Clemson has a mobile quarterback, and they look like they didn't get a first down until the middle of the second quarter, and it was on a 3rd and 13 where their quarterback scrambled for 14 yards. And it was the only sign of life I saw from Clemson's offense for like a good, 2.5 hours. It was just impressive to watch. They scored a touchdown, Alabama did, with their defensive tackle. Their nose tackle. The guy who blocked for him on the pick route was the defensive end. They were trolling Clemson by doing that because last year Clemson won the game on the last play of the game on a rub route. The same exact play, just different player. Like obviously it was a running back and a wide receiver when they did it last year. But this year, Alabama, to seal the game, did it with a defensive end and a defensive tackle. So Nick Saban likes to just troll everybody, and he did. It was an impressive, dominant performance. Their defense is as good as it gets. It is an all-SEC national championship now in Atlanta. Second time. The entire reason that they went to the system of the 14 playoff and a committee is because the computers picked LSU to play Alabama, who were 2 SEC teams in the national championship.
Yep. I'm listening. We live, baby.
2 SEC teams they picked in the national championship. So the reason that the NCAA had a big uproar, it's going to go.
So going to go. Shouts to all Jared for listening on SoundCloud. Jared don't know right now, but you listening. That's going. Our flag in the background is going to fall. That's the noise we're listening to. I'm not going to edit it out because that's going to be funny as hell.
They might even not be able to hear that on SoundCloud because it's far away from the mic.
Cool. It's going to be funny as hell on camera.
It is going to be funny on camera.
Go ahead.
So, the reason they went to the playoff committee and the 4-team playoff is because the BCS was just the number 1, number 2 team playing for the national championship, and it was a computer that decided. The computer decided The computer decided 2 SEC teams. That was the uproar. Now you have 2 SEC teams in the national championship. Now it's not a rematch. The game that was played that year was 9-6. Alabama won, and then the national championship I think was 17-10 or 17-13 or something like that. It wasn't.
It's irrelevant anyway.
This year I expect it to be somewhere probably like 31-24, maybe. They have a little less time to prepare, so Alabama might give up a little more point than 17-24. They gave up a lot to Clemson the last 2 years, but Clemson had Deshaun Watson and a mobile quarterback. They don't give up a whole lot of
Who
quarterback.
are you picking?
I'm picking Alabama by far.
Okay, Jesus.
They have the best coach in America. They have the best coach of all time. They are ridiculously talented, really healthy, and have a chip on their shoulder. And that's a very dangerous combination.
College football because I'm pretty sure I could be wrong. I'm sure you correct me immediately, but I feel like this is the third year in a row. It's like, oh, I'm picking them. Well, duh.
Yeah, I mean, I think I picked them for like 5 years in a row now.
This is I can't even watch.
This is the third year in a row they're playing in the national championship.
It's just a joke to me.
This is
I can't watch this.
Alabama is running amok.
It's as big a joke as that, and that's funny.
Alabama's running amok on college football. They are better than the Patriots are of the NFL. I mean, it is disgusting. The Patriots have played in the last 7 AFC championships?
Something like that, yeah.
Alabama, I think, has played in 5 of the last 7 national championships. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. They've won, I think, 4 of them.
That's not obnoxious.
He's about to win his 6th overall if they win.
Shouts to him.
He is 11-0 against his former assistants. Kirby Smart is a former assistant in all 11 of those games. Do you want to hear the most ridiculous stat?
I really don't.
He has won them all by double digits.
Great. That's disgusting. Keep telling me why I should watch college football. Unless I'm an Alabama fan, which I give a shit, so...
We want to get to our NFL picks and wrap this up today, Dwight, unless you have anything else to talk about. You want to talk about basketball, baseball,
I want to talk
hockey?
about Marvin Lewis. Don't gloss over that, bro.
Oh, firings in the NFL. Before we get to Marvin Lewis, holy crap, I'm the worst, Dwight.
He is the worst. He's as bad as that flag.
Let's leave Marvin Lewis for last. You ready for this? Firings in the NFL. You tell me right or wrong. I'm just going to fire him off real quick. And then we
All
can...
right, because...
Jack Del Rio. Raiders. Are they going to offer Gruden a piece of this team? You know they have to vote that, right? Like
I completely forgot about that one.
Jerry...
That's why I started laughing, because I was ready to say yeah, and I was like, I don't know, because that's just ignorant.
No, that's horrible. They signed him to a 4-year extension last year. They signed him to a 4-year extension last year. Talk about job security.
And they fired him for hype. That might not happen.
But
even if it happens, they're firing this man for hype. Is this the new Philadelphia?
They made the playoffs. Is John
Gruden the next great white hope? Should I call him the Messiah? Apparently he's the real Messiah.
Once in the last 14 years have they made the playoffs. It was last year, and they fired their coach the year after. By the way, they lost 7 games this year. 5 of them came without their quarterback.
John Gruden, the great white hope. Look here, I ain't mad at John Gruden if he does this, because he's going to be making a lot of money. And as somebody who, I'm about television. Television's going to be there, bro. This $10 million or whatever the hell the number isn't going to be. Take the money. Even if you suck, you won. Television will be there when you get back. Well, make your money. I'm not mad at John Gruden. The Raiders, though, it's like, really?
Bad idea.
Really?
I like John Gruden.
Getting on this Chucky thing?
I love John Gruden. I think he's a great coach.
Knock it off.
He went 59-53 in his last 4 years of coaching, or 5 years of coaching. Like, he was pretty mediocre there at the end.
What's his name? Kyle, Stan, Dan, Shanahan. The Washington brought back that one year. Okay, he was great at one point, so...
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm not saying he's going to suck, but it's like...
I hear you.
They're really banking on this working, so, I mean...
They also can't offer him a piece of the team unless every owner votes that to be okay.
Well, apparently that's what they want to do.
But they can't... I don't think the owners will vote that to be okay, because
they're giving him more than a coaching job, bro.
That sets a I know, they might give him, like, a more executive, and that's fine, but they can't give him a piece of the team, because that's going to set a precedent. Because I don't think the other owners will vote yes to that, because that will set a precedent of doing that one day, and I don't think the other owners are down with that in any way, shape, or form. Gruden means a lot to the Raiders, so I would see why they would want that, but I don't think it's a good idea on their part, and I don't think the rest of the owners are going to be okay with it. But I do think he gets a very big, high job in them, maybe head coach, and something very high as well.
That's what they're offering him, yeah.
So Del Rio, though, it's not fair, though. Yes, we agree.
Yeah,
like that was absolutely
he's drawing.
That was
it's
raw.
Definitely drawing. It's drawing.
Not right. Okay. Fox of the Bears. Mitchell Trubisky won 5 games this year. We thought they weren't going to win 3.
Yeah, bye.
He's older. You need to start rebuilding. I'm not against it, but okay.
We're 4.
Caldwell, the Lions. They just made the playoffs last year. First time in 13 years.
Yeah, he's been there long enough.
It's only his 3rd year. He was with the Colts before.
I feel like it's been longer.
No, he's with the Colts before. Sorry, he was with the Colts before.
No. Right,
I don't think they should have fired Caldwell on the basis of they only missed the playoffs by 1 game. They won the division last year.
Maybe no. I'll go no.
They made it to the playoffs, 2 of the last 4 years, and they didn't make it for 13 years prior to that.
Yeah, for some reason, I was thinking that he was there longer.
We agree the Giants should have fired their coach. Chuck Pagano.
Dude got a raw deal too. I mean, I'm just saying.
He got a raw deal. I don't disagree. They won 11-5 last year.
2 years. Pardon me.
A year and a half.
2. This gets better.
He got fired because the Mara family wanted a scapegoat of why they sat
right,
Eli
that's
so
why,
they could cut
right.
ties with
So
Eli
it's
sooner than
not-
later.
I get it, but that's trolling. That's exactly
Yeah, it was
exactly
ridiculous.
why it happened because the owners exactly.
I don't think he would have won them a Super Bowl at any point, though, yes?
No.
Ben
That's not
McAdoo
his
wasn't the
fault
coach of
because
the
there's
future.
nothing
I agree, but he wasn't the coach of the future. He's not even as good as Jason
I
Garrett.
don't know. I don't know that. I don't know that
disagree.
he was there long enough for me to have that distinction.
Pagano and the Colts? I think he got a raw deal in the sense of...
Peace out.
I mean, I hear...
He got a pass because he frankly got a pass because of his health issue. Okay, fine. Then he got another 2-3 years. Okay, don't give me the Andrew Luck thing because R.I.P. that. Like,
Did you see...
When did the Colts eventually just say, all right, damn this? Like,
He said he's going to be back next year. We'll see, I guess. Did you see Pagano getting the game ball?
and if
from
he
the
does,
owner?
so what?
Did you see Pagano? I like Andrew. I think he's going to be alright. He
I don't dislike him, but I'm
went to the
saying
NFC
that this,
Championship the last year he was healthy. And
so did Tim Tebow. He took
not near the same amount of stats. Andrew Luck is a way better quarterback than
I'm
you're
not
giving him
talking about
credit for
stats.
right
You
now.
just said, well, you throw with the AFC
Talented
Championship.
wise,
So did
Andrew
Mark
Luck-
Sanchez. So did
We see how bad that team is without Andrew Luck, right? He took that team to the AFC Championship 3 years ago, man. Like last time
3
he was
years
healthy.
ago.
Yeah, so two
3
seasons ago.
years
Last
ago.
year he got
2
hurt.
seasons ago.
So last year and this year they did, but the season right before that.
Seasons ago. That's
With
a
how
long
bad-
time in the NFL.
Yeah, but they won 2 games last year without him. This same roster without him, they won 2 games. He won 13 the year before. That is ridiculous.
That means absolutely
You don't
nothing.
think he's good?
Why are you always jumping to extremes? No, I didn't say he wasn't good. I said I do.
You said rest in peace to that experiment.
Because I'm tired of hearing about him because it's been 3 years.
I mean, I can't assume he's not going to be any good when he comes back. I think it's a
Man,
better
I
idea to
would love
rest
to
somebody that's going to be around for maybe
Let
5 to
Carson
10
Wentz
years.
bid out for the next 2 or 3 years.
I would rather him
See if
sit
he's
out
still
all
just
of next.
excited.
They said it could take up to 12 months for him to rehab. I would rather him sit out all of next year instead of rushing back, getting hurt, and then being hurt for 2 or 3 more years down the road. I would rather him sit out a year and a half, a year and a
Here's
quarter.
the problem. We thought Andrew Luck was going to come back sometime this year.
I hear you, and I don't know, and there is no timetable on Carson Wentz, so you're absolutely right.
And
I'm
the
not getting
owner
excited.
called him out. Even Jim Irsay said, I don't know about this guy. I don't know.
Jim Irsay is not the guy I'm going to take any advice from on
I'm
anything.
just saying.
Jim Irsay told
I'm just
his
saying.
coach he was going to fire him the night before and then gave him the game ball the day after.
Well, good for him.
That was the most awkward thing I've ever seen. Jim Irsay
I'm
is
trusting
also the worst NFL owner. Him and the Browns, but he's right there, yeah? I mean, how many times do we talk about that, how bad of an owner he is?
Colts are very blah, and Andrew Luck ain't going to help them much, so... I'm just saying, at what point do we just get over this Andrew Luck thing? I'd say if he doesn't come back and ball out next year, it's probably that time.
Bruce
You heard
Arians
it here
retires.
first take. Not first take, but you heard it here first.
Bruce Arians retires.
Who?
Bruce Arians, the Cardinals coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
That job is now open. Do you think out of all those jobs, what do you think is the best job? I would have to say the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, they got a quarterback at least. The Cardinals they're done. R.I.P. Talk about R.I.P.
Neither of us
Carson
are Giants.
Palmer's gone.
Neither of
Larry
us are-
Fitzgerald, but even if he comes back, who cares?
Yeah, neither of us are Giants fans, but I think they're a pretty stable
R.I.P.
organization.
Yeah. No.
You still don't want to have to go against Dak
Right.
Prescott and Carson Wentz for the next 5
I don't want
years.
to deal with that. And you're starting over with the whole Eli thing because he's gone. So
The Bears
you
are
know,
rough because you have Minnesota, Green Bay, and Detroit in
right,
your division.
and they have
but
nothing to look forward to.
Well, Mitchell Trubisky had a pretty good season. 3 more touchdown passes than Marcus Mariota.
Okay, so did Dwight.
No, Marcus Mariota had 13. Dwight and Jared combined for 0 this year.
I'm going to say Dwight had 14. I don't know what you're talking about. Just saying. You didn't know I play football?
Ted Thompson got fired as the Packers GM. That was a pretty big surprise. But to be fair to them, when Aaron Rodgers goes out, their team looks really bad, which means he's not doing a good job outside of Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, that would probably be the best way to judge how good he's doing is
right.
who we put around Aaron Rodgers. And
That's been a story for like 3 years.
And that's right. And that's the point is like, so now that Aaron Rodgers went down and didn't save him from making the playoffs, this was probably a pretty good year for it was a surprise, but I'm not like super against what they did in any way, shape, or form there.
I'm not surprised.
I think that's a pretty good job, though, the Packers GM job. I mean, that's a pretty good job to walk into.
All you gotta do is put some pieces around this man.
That's a pretty good job to walk
Get
into.
a defense.
You get a pretty high draft pick this year.
Get some
Higher
pieces
draft
around
pick
this
than
man.
you're probably ever going to get as a Packers GM again. You know,
Who
with
don't-
Aaron
and
Rodgers.
Who doesn't want to play with Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers? So.
And I mean, you have Green Bay, the history there. You have some advantages, and that's a pretty high talented job to jump into. Also, you get to go hire a new defense coordinator, and the defense is obviously the problem. They extended McCarthy's contract next year, so we'll see how that goes. But
Right.
on to your favorite, the man of the hour,
Who's that?
Jeff Fisher's stunt double.
A little darker.
Um,
A little blacker.
Marvin Lewis, 2 weeks ago, we came on the show. We both got really excited because before the season, I threw my hands up in the air and I proclaimed that Marvin Lewis needs to get fired 2 years ago. And this year, Dwight and I got on a pretty high train of, well, look how bad Marvin Lewis is doing again. And then 2 weeks ago...
It's time. It's time. It's so time. It's time.
2 weeks ago,
It's time.
Dwight said, how exciting is this? Marvin Lewis got fired. He said he's going to go do another job. We talked about how great this is. JD Sports, you heard it first. We were breaking news 16 weeks ago.
Then they swerved us and said, just
And then
kidding. Then
Jeff Fisher called Marvin Lewis and explained to him.
Just go to Bahamas, bro, and relax and come
Explained to
back
him
refreshed. You can just finesse the team, bro, and give this paycheck. John Green.
where the dead bodies were hidden. Marvin Lewis got a 2-year extension after being fired 2 weeks ago.
But he wasn't fired. He was contemplating not coming back.
Marvin Lewis hasn't
time out.
gotten more than a 1-year extension since 2012, by the way.
And now you need to. That's like, I don't know where to begin on this. Where do we begin? On the basis of what?
They won those 2 games, Dwight. Since he said he was not going to come back, they won both of those games, Dwight. So, Income, make sure he comes back. Well, he might have went. He might have went to Arizona on a 1-year deal.
Oh my god.
Play with John Skelton.
I just have no words.
Andy Dalton.
I just have... Oh, well, yeah, he's been there.
Well, I mean, him and Marvin Lewis are the future.
I don't disagree with Andy Dalton. I'm stuck on this 0-8 playoff record that this man Marvin Lewis has, which he just setting a precedent. I gotta just say how he is setting a precedent and how he's setting up the Dallas Cowboys to be stuck with Jason Garrett for 15 years. That just fucked us. I'm just saying because Jason Garrett, I would say right now is more upside and right. You would think
Agreed.
okay. So I guess we're stuck with Jason Garrett for the next 15 years then because Marvin Lewis has a job. He's 0-8 in the playoffs. Jason Garrett has 1. So
What is
clearly
he,
that means
16?
an extra 5 years.
What is he, 17 years now as a coach? 17 years as the head coach?
Something ridiculous like
8
that.
times in the playoffs, 0-8 as you said.
0-8.
4 losses with Palmer, or 3 losses with Palmer, 1 with the backup, and then 4 with Andy Dalton. 5 blowouts. They lost by 20-plus points in 5 of those games.
Look, I've talked to a Cincinnati Bengals fan who I've mentioned on the show before, and when he's saying WTF, I don't understand, this is ridiculous, because he's been calling for it, because we spoke earlier in the year, and I was like, dude, what is the problem with this team? There's so, like, they have pieces. They do have, like, good talent. They do. We can name them, and we did before.
They absolutely do, yes.
And he said, which I brought up last time, no, it's time for Marvin to go. And this man gets 2 years. On the basis of what? It would be one thing if you were like, okay, even this doesn't mean anything at this point in his tenure, but okay, they got the division. Okay, they got a wild card. Okay, they got a bye. Okay, they did something to kind of justify, you know what, 1 more year. Which he's been doing for the past like 5 or 6 years, but whatever, regardless. This year, though, it was finally, to me, you know what, there's nothing. It's time. Just peace out. Bygones be bygones, you know, whatever. And it seemed like it was going to be like a peaceful, you know what, I'm out, you know what, thank you, peace out, thank you. No. They signed this man to 2 years on the basis of absolutely nothing. And the logic that I was, literally this was the day that, as of this recording that he got signed, I'm listening to some of the analysts, some of these experts, only guys an expert only talk about the reasoning. And I heard Reggie White, plays for used to play for the Colts, Reggie Wayne, Reggie Wayne, on the NFL Network, he was saying, and I only caught one part of it, but what he said when I heard it was, well, he knows how to deal with these guys, as in all these characters, like all these.
I get it because they
and
are.
I was like,
bunch, but maybe
and I said,
stop
excuse me?
hiring those kind of players.
1, 2. Excuse me. So he's the only coach in America who can
Right.
deal with guys
Yeah.
with like egos or who are characters who have issues. Like he's the only coach in America.
How
you gonna know if you don't hire anybody else and you keep rehiring this jabroni who's done nothing?
How well has he done that, by the way?
He's 0-8 in the playoffs. And oh, by the way, then stop getting these players that have issues. You gotta keep an average.
He was a
coach.
veteran. He was a veteran coach in the game that McNabb didn't know they could tie in. That was against them.
A long time ago, and he was on that team.
Oh, he was a veteran coach. They were multiple years into the league.
And they were questioning his job then. That was what? How many years ago was that?
10, 15 years ago? That was at least 10, 15 years ago. That's 2007.
God.
About to be in 2018.
It's been 10 years. They've been calling for his job. I'm just dumbfounded, dude. I mean, shout out to the rest of that division, though. They're probably clapping. I mean,
Yeah, they've
as it
got to
should
love
be.
it.
And I'm like,
Third place is secure again.
look, right. Every 6 years they might get first place, maybe. I'm like, yo, I don't watch any Bengals games. Definitely don't watch their home games, like religiously or anything outside of the red zone. So I'm like, I don't know, but like, are their fans not booing this man? Like, is it a situation where he walks on and they're like warm-ups and they're booing him? Clearly not, because there was no incentive to get rid of him apparently, because he can deal with the I don't know, Joe Smith over here who's a dickhead. He can get him on the right course to be the second string lineman. Because Marvin Lewis is the only one that can do that, mind you. No one else.
0-8 in the playoffs.
We don't need John Gruden.
No extension past 1 year since 2013, and in 2018, he got a 2-year extension.
And like I said, it's not even a situation where it's like, okay.
On a year, you missed the playoffs.
This year,
on a year, you missed the playoffs.
This year,
By a margin, too. They were out of it. They were out of it before December.
You know what? Andy Dalton was hurt. This guy was hurt. This guy was hurt. And we were 1 game removed. You know what? We're going to let you slide, Coach Bourne. Nothing.
They were out of it by December.
Early December.
Yeah, December 5th at the earliest. My birthday, there was the games on that weekend.
Yeah, we were calling it, yeah.
They were out of it right around then.
Yeah. I don't get it, dude. I would be devastated, too, if I was a Bengals fan, because that's... mediocrity is acceptable, apparently.
16 teams.
Yeah.
4 games this weekend. Eight of the 16 left play.
RIP NFL season. This year's going fast. Can we just say that?
It's going very fast.
This NFL season's going fast.
Season 3 of JD Sports is cruising.
Mm-hmm.
We barely talked any basketball.
It's cruising, alright. RIP 2017. You bum. Okay.
First game. First game of last year's playoffs was 2 backup quarterbacks in Houston playing Oakland.
Yeah.
This year we have a much better matchup.
Allegedly.
Our Tennessee Titans
Guy with the tattoos, Tennessee Titans.
taking on... If the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl, and Cam doesn't win the Super Bowl, I gotta root for Andy, right? Andy or Brady usually, so...
Andy.
Andy Reid, Kansas City head coach.
Wow. So you're not rooting for Kansas City then? I mean, you're not rooting for Tennessee then?
Oh, I'm rooting for Tennessee. For the show's sake, obviously.
So they're after Kansas City, you're rooting for Tennessee? That's basically what you just said. Tennessee's 4th.
Our Titans.
In the NFC, not even all of... Okay.
In the AFC. No.
No, just total?
Yeah, total.
Alright. 4th.
Are you picking our Titans?
Stop saying R. They're not R. I gave up on them last year. I was on them and no, they don't exist. It's not real to me. Therefore, they don't exist. So poof, I got Kansas City, son of a bitch. Just saying. Sorry, Tony. That tattoo's gonna be really ridiculous in about 1 week. You're not. You're not. Don't even look at me like that.
No, I'm not guilty. Y'all got to feel me. I'm taking Kansas City.
look. Tennessee, DeMarco's probably not even going to play. And
I
he had a
almost,
down year. It
I
doesn't
almost
matter.
did it for my culture, though.
Did you do it for the culture?
I almost did it for my culture. To let them know what. All right, so Buffalo's taking on Jacksonville. Or no, I'm sorry.
This guy's fucking up.
Atlanta's taking on the Rams in the second game Saturday. I was reading both AFC games. I apologize. Atlanta's taking on the Rams. The winner of this game has a tough path either way. The Rams, if they win, they got to go to Minnesota. Atlanta, if they win, they go to the Eagles. But they have to go on the road for all three games if they win because Atlanta's the 6th seed. Now, betting the Eagles is kind of a buy in the middle. I would give you that. But at the same time, you still have to go on the road, do all the travel, etc. I think this is going to be a very hard-fought game. I'm excited to see Atlanta's offense versus this Rams defense. I'm also excited to see Atlanta's defense versus Rams offense. This Rams offense can get after it, but Atlanta's defense, as I said, is physical. So I'm excited to see how this game's played out. I think Atlanta's offense is good, but I think I've seen them struggle enough this season. I'm taking the Rams in this one because of their defense. But Matt Ryan, I know I'm a little down on him compared to most people, but Matt Ryan is better than Jared Goff. And in the playoffs,
So you got the Atlanta red on, so.
I usually go with the quarterbacks of it, but this one, I'm taking the Rams. The way they've looked all season, the way they've run behind Todd Gurley, I think that they have something going on there that
Makes no sense, but
they have a lot. They can really put you on the ground and then throw it deep. They have the wide receivers that can go over the top, over play action. And I think that's going to be the difference late because Atlanta's defense I just don't think is good enough to, in a shootout, ever make that one stop, where I think the Rams can make the one stop that's needed, you know?
yeah.
Who you taking this one?
I went the Rams.
We both picked the Rams as well in the NFC. And
I went with the Rams just because Atlanta, they don't, during the season, they didn't score well against great defenses. Against the Minnesota Vikings, they had 9 points. Against the Jags, they only had 7. Even the Patriots, they only put up 7. The Rams, the lowest scoring game was against the Vikings, 7. Otherwise, they put up points.
They put up 20-plus in every other game.
Right. So, I don't think Atlanta's going to be able to score against the Rams. I don't think.
And at home, I'm pretty sure they're averaging like 36 or something like that.
something
Some ridiculous
disgusting.
number.
Yeah, right. I don't think it's going to be close at all. I'm going with the Rams.
I'm going with the Rams. I think it's going to be close. I think Atlanta's experience. I think Julio Jones and Matt Ryan. And I think, look, LA.
I don't know. It's going to be tough.
I can't imagine that stadium's going to be packed as well. So I look at it as this is going to be Atlanta's. But Atlanta does have to fly across country. But I think this is going to be. Atlanta has a pretty good shot here at catching a Rams team and then a bad Eagles team and being a 6th seed to go because then all you got to do is beat Carolina or New Orleans or Minnesota to get to the Super Bowl. We'll see when we get there. We're both taking the Rams.
Yeah,
but
that stadium might be packed. You got it's the Chargers fans. They ain't got nothing to do. They might show up too. They might be packed.
On to that AFC game that I was talking about, Buffalo taking on Jacksonville in the first game of the Sunday. Jacksonville hosting a playoff game, first time since 1997, 21 years.
Wow.
Last time they hosted a playoff game, their now GM, or player personnel, Tom Coughlin, was their head coach.
Who's the quarterback? I have no clue.
I'm looking at him right now. Why is this? Oh, it's killing me. He was...
Brunell?
Yes, Mark Brunell.
Was
yeah.
it?
He was on ESPN is what I was about to say. Yes, Mark Brunell.
Yeah.
It was
I
Mark. Yes,
I just said that name, but
no,
yeah,
it was
that
Mark
would make
Brunell.
sense. Yeah. Okay.
Huh.
That's wild.
That's
Jesus.
the last time they won a playoff game
Jesus.
as well. Was that year?
Jesus.
It was 1996
Shouts to
or
Mark
1997.
Shouts to Mark.
Maurice Jones-Drew was a rookie. They had a really good tight end. I can't remember his name at the moment.
No.
But
Okay.
shout out before we make a pick. Paul Plesney, the middle linebacker for Jacksonville, played at Penn State, what seems like about 15 years ago. He was drafted by Jacksonville and has been on their team and the leader of their defense. This is his first playoff game, and I'm not saying it's been as long as Joe Thomas, but it's been a Joe Thomas-like run for him.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
that's
been
a long
that
time.
player
That's
for
committed.
Jacksonville. It's been at least 10 years, I would say, that he's been
commitment.
going with Jacksonville, going through all of those really bad years where we've made fun of. So shout out to him. He doesn't just get to play in a playoff game. He gets to play in a playoff game at home, and he deserves that. Players like that, I like to see them succeed, you know, who put their head down and grind for franchises and fans like that. Who you taking? This is the hardest game of the weekend, I would say by far, yes?
I think so, yeah.
To predict.
I still haven't even picked it on my sheet here. just because like my instinct says go with Jacksonville, but I don't trust Blake Bortles.
I don't trust Blake Bortles at
And
all. But
shout outs to him. He's come back to reality.
the last 2 weeks, yes, he has come back to reality. He had that 4-week stretch where he was the best player in the NFL.
Yeah, remember? And I was still, and when you kept asking me, Blake Bortles, and I kept saying no.
Yeah, he had a ridiculously bad last 2 weeks.
No, I just don't buy into
4
it.
interceptions last week, 2
I don't even have to
this week.
say it. People, like, players have been saying, no, this guy actually sucks. And they've
Yeah,
been saying
yeah,
that.
absolutely.
No, don't buy the hype, he
He's
sucks.
the 70th rated quarterback in the NFL going into this
And
season.
I'm not going to say he sucks, but he sucks.
70th. There's only 32 that start.
Oh, Jesus. So you're saying Colin Kaepernick? Okay, anyway, that's my cheap plug for the week. Man, this is probably for an quote upset. I'm going Jacksonville though, and that makes me sick. But that defense is just really, really good, and I don't trust Buffalo. There's no reason to trust Buffalo even. So I would trust Buffalo's defense. I would rely on that more than anything else. Anything else in this game in general, actually.
Shout out to Tyrod Taylor,
I don't trust that.
but shout out to him
Yeah.
for being what we basically said he could absolutely be. And virtually nobody else was on that side of it. We both talked going into the season about how
He was
yes,
disrespected.
yeah.
He was.
And then in the middle of the season, he was absolutely disrespected by being sat for Nathan Peterson.
For no reason.
Because the defense gave up 40-plus points 2 weeks in a row.
Mm.
LaShawn McCoy gives you a chance.
Yeah, but I don't disagree. That is the only. Yeah,
But you're not going to be able
to
to pass
it's not
at
enough of
all.
a,
You can't
it's
pass
not enough
at
of a year,
all
but
if you're Buffalo. I'm taking Jacksonville as well.
I was gonna say, can you run on the road against Jacksonville?
It could be 17-10.
That'd be 17-3.
Right, but this game
Right,
could be
yeah,
that low
I hear
scoring,
you.
yes.
Yeah, I Buffalo, shady. There's not enough there.
And what might be the most intriguing game of the week, though, not the hardest to pick, but most intriguing game, because you have probably, I would say, the best 2 quarterback matchup. I mean, you got Mariota and Alex Smith the day before. That's a pretty good quarterback matchup. But you got Cam Newton versus Drew Brees, which, by the way, you get twice a year, so that kind of maybe adds a little more to it. On top of they've both played in Super Bowls. One has won a Super Bowl. The credentials are there for both of these guys. New Orleans won both those games this year. New Orleans dominated one of those games. It was in Carolina. The other game was pretty close, but they still won. New Orleans did.
Didn't get that sweep though.
This game is all in New Orleans again.
Get that Cowboy sweep. Not to flashback to anything, but you know.
Who you got?
Well, I gotta be consistent. I said Drew Brees would be the one thing that I would trust in that conference. I'm going with the Saints for that reason. Plus, I'm pretty confident you're going with the Panthers. So I was pretty confident this was going to be the only game we would switch. Thus, another reason why I went with the Jags, because I was pretty confident he was going to go with the Jags as well. So here we are. Breezes. Who are we? Saints. I got the Saints.
You got the Who Dat Nation. This is pretty tough. The Saints have a really good secondary. They blew Carolina out. And Carolina did not play well last week. But the 4 games prior to that, I thought Carolina was one of the best teams in the NFC. I'm taking Carolina because I think that...
I love that I make picks based on what I already know what you're going to do.
And
you do the same thing, so, but it's funny.
I was going to say, yeah, we both do that to each other. Cam Newton
Yeah, I know.
led his team in rushing this year.
I won't be surprised, but no.
No, absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. Look, and because that's the other thing. I don't want you.
You're saying confidence.
I was gonna say.
Confidence
I think a
ball.
lot of people are gonna take what you're saying as like you take it as Carolina have no shot. I don't take it that way because I understand that you have the understanding that they do. And I wouldn't be surprised in any way, shape, or form. However, this game turned out. If Carolina won this game by 25, I wouldn't be super shocked. If New Orleans won this game by 25, I really wouldn't be super shocked.
Yeah, no.
They're both talented, and they both have a lot of weaknesses. They're like
Thus they're in this
gaping
position.
holes, right?
And they can both go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Makes
and
no sense.
and Pittsburgh and New England most likely will run over either of them. That's the problem here. Is that I
that's
think
the
I would
problem.
pick Pittsburgh and New England to beat any of the teams.
That's
in
why I
the
don't
NFC.
want to talk about the conference game.
We didn't talk about the AFC
I
at
know,
all. I didn't even
I
ask you
don't-
who
I
you
don't
think's
wanna
going to win.
talk
We all know who we all think. I know who do you think's going to win the AFC, Dwight?
To be continued.
Tom Brady and the
I don't want
Patriots.
to do it. I
Anyways,
don't want to. I don't. Can we not? Can somebody else?
Anyways.
Anybody but Birdie.
I'm taking Carolina also on the
I'm
basis
going
of...
the Titans.
Well, we're rooting for the Titans. JD Sports, that's our
Should
squad.
I change my speak?
Our Titans.
Change my pick?
That's our Titans, bro. Also, as I was going to say, the Cam Newton stat I got for you, he was the leading rusher on his own team. He also...
Again, okay.
He also would have had... he also would have been the leading rusher on 10 other teams. So that means out of 11 franchises, he had more rushing yards. He would have been the leading rusher.
This year I want Cam to run less.
I was
About
just
that
about to
coach.
say. I
About
was
that
literally
coach.
just about to say.
About that coach.
So
Riverboat Ron.
I said that stat because, like, I usually say these stats are a really good thing. That just points out that they didn't do anything different down the stretch. They were relying on Cam so much down the stretch.
You have to do.
I get that, but then the last game of the season, he throws 3 interceptions because all he did was stand in the pocket and didn't try to run around. Cam Newton in that last game, and I'm not saying that this happened. Like they didn't want him to run around because they didn't want him to get hurt. Obviously, in that last game, they already clinched the playoff spot,
Right.
so he legitimately had the least amount of rushing attempts he had in 3 years. Obviously, that leads to Cam having to stand in the pocket. And Cam Newton does not stand in the pocket well and throw the ball. Like, that has been the known thing. So he threw 3 interceptions last week. Also, it was in his hometown of Atlanta, and he actually usually plays pretty bad in Atlanta because I think he just tries to play too well. Not the point. Point being is, I think they're obviously going to let him open it up wide open. If the game comes down to it, and you have to just snap the ball to Cam Newton and run the Wildcat and let him run the ball every time. If that's what you have to do, then that's what they would do. If that's what they thought would win the game. So obviously they're going to go wide open with Cam Newton. That's why I'm picking New Orleans in this. That's why I'm picking Carolina to beat New Orleans in this one, because I do think that everything's out the window, and if they have to go back to 2015, where
they're going to. You have
exactly.
to. It's all on the line at this point.
And
I just need the coach this offseason to not speak then about
I agree.
anything. I don't want to hear anything about Cam Newton.
I'm very excited.
Help this man.
I
Get
agree.
him, again. For how many
Don't
years?
trade away his best wide receiver.
I'm just saying. Don't have another retire. I'm just saying. Oh no, that was the same one.
They traded
I'm
him away
thinking
too.
Steve Smith, right.
No, they traded both of them. I was thinking of White. Remember they traded White early in the year? His best receiver this year. They traded to Buffalo.
Yep.
Kelvin Benjamin, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And-
After losing, who did he lose? Muhammad.
Yeah.
Muhammad to the Saints.
Yeah, and
What's his
Olsen
first
was
name?
hurt
Jesus,
the
I forget his
first.
name.
Olsen, Musa, or no, they lost.
I almost said
sorry,
Musin, but I wasn't sure.
no, they lost. Not Muhammad. That was the old guy who played for them. I'm trying to think of. I'm looking at him right now. He used to play for Ohio State. Smith.
That does me so well.
Smith. He returned a touchdown in the national championship for Ohio State. Real fast punt returner.
Regardless, he's
Ted
lost.
Ginn Jr.
Right. Yeah. That's what I meant. Not Muhammad.
Torrey Smith was his coach.
Yeah.
Or not Torrey Smith. Yeah, we're not doing this. Troy Smith was his.
Regardless,
quarterback.
get this man some fucking help, Carolina, and stop worrying about. Well, we're going to run Cam less, but you didn't.
I'm really
Because
excited.
you're relying on what has gotten you there before, and as you should, but then just shut the hell up.
Don't
Just shut up.
don't
Just
deny
shut
it.
up. Right.
Don't deny it.
It's
there. We know it's there. We're all seeing it.
In
It's in
4
front of
months,
us.
when it's in the middle of whatever month it would be.
Oh yeah.
I don't want. In April, I don't need
I
to
was
hear.
gonna say, in July, right before camp, this man's
I
gonna
don't-
say, "Oh, we're gonna run the ball less with Cam."
Then we won't be having this conversation because we're gonna be knowing you're full of shit. I'm just saying.
They have 2 legitimate running backs on their team too, and that's the worst
Allegedly.
part. You know what I mean?
Right,
That they
right,
run. No,
right.
they hand the
That they
ball off
just
more to
drafted,
them.
right.
They hand the ball more off to those 2 than Cam ran combined, and he still had more rushing yards than them combined.
What are you gonna do when he slows down?
He's going
in a couple
to.
years?
He's going to.
What's he,
we talk about this all the time.
What is he gonna do? But whatever, that's another conversation.
Just
what is
relax.
this team
Okay,
gonna
look.
do? What is this team gonna do? If this keeps going this way,
I don't know what his team's going to do, but I can tell you the thing that I think Cam Newton needs to do is take the Randall Cunningham approach. Randall Cunningham just started rolling out. He stopped running downfield. He started using his legs laterally.
Mhm.
Cam Newton can actually move the ball pretty well on the run. He can hit the ball. He's not the super accurate quarterback. We all know that. Randall wasn't either. Randall was more accurate, but Cam can throw a lot further than Randall could. So there's a lot of...
right? I just have question marks about both of those.
I hear you. I get
And
that.
they both need to be addressed before it's too late for
But Randall ended up
either one of
having...
those.
Look, Randall in 1997 had his best passing season when he became just a passer that ran side to side, not up and down on the field. You know what I'm saying? So that's what Cam will have to do as that kind of... Look, Mike Vick did it. Steve Young did it. You're talking about all the scramblers. They do that at some point. Russell Wilson's going to have to do that at some point. If they want to be successful 5, 10, 15 years after they're taking all these big shots. Look, Cam's done this longer than most quarterbacks have. He's not going to be able to do it a whole lot longer. We know that.
He's probably had a whole lot less.
Yeah.
Get this man some help. Just saying.
When I was a Cam Newton fan, I agree. My parents got me a cool Cam Newton ornament for my tree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a little action figure.
Is it
Cam
a dab?
Newton. No, he's
Is
just
it
standing.
him
He's
doing
throwing.
Superman?
No, he's throwing the football.
Is it him
He's
standing there not trying to get a fumble? I'm just gonna keep roasting him for no reason.
He's standing there. He's got his like half sleeves on, but he's like.
Is he doing the first down thing?
No.
That's the only positive you're getting. He's pretending to throw a ball. That's ironic because he doesn't.
I do. I would have liked this one. That would have been a cool.
Superman one. I'm sure there's one out there.
I'm sure there is, but I like the one they got me to, the action one.
Fair enough.
I'm excited for this week's playoffs. Dwight,
Yes, sir.
till next week.
Till next week. Shouts to 2018. We are here.
Make sure. I know a lot of people aren't going to want to watch the college football playoff because it's SEC versus SEC. Make sure you catch it. I think it's going to be.
Please. Because real quickly, because everybody's saying, I'm not going to watch it. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Knock it off.
I'm going to watch it.
These people,
I know, I hear so
people
many
that act
people
like shut
they're
up,
so
shut
mad.
up.
They're so mad.
Oh, the ratings going to be down, what, from 80 billion to 79 billion? Shut up.
It's going to be a good game, I
Gets
think.
on my nerves.
I'm
People
excited
gonna
for
watch.
it.
People going to watch. I'm going to protest. Knock it off.
JD Sports, we'll catch you next week.
Yes, sir. Peace out.
You know she wrote it. German Ruger for your ass, bitch, deep throated. Know you wanna feel the room, cause it's platinum coated. Take your pick, gotta fire.